This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
(8:45). This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Lal Mallavarachi and read by Indrani Senanayaka. Headlines. Sri Lanka will receive 1.5 million Moderna vaccines on Friday, while Japan has decided today to provide 1.45 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine in the coming weeks. 882 new COVID cases were confirmed and 41 new fatalities reported today. Paying compensation to fishermen affected by the fire at the Express Pearl ship will begin tomorrow. Local government bodies are ready to fulfill the national requirement of organic fertilizer. The Health Ministry has launched a project to provide essential medical equipment to hospitals island-wide. In foreign news, protests mount as COVID ward blaze in Iraq kills more than 60. Sports news. West Indies women captain Stephanie Taylor has reclaimed the number 1 spot in ODI cricket. State Minister Professor Channa Jayasumana says Sri Lanka will receive 1.5 million doses of the Moderna vaccine this Friday. The coronavirus vaccine developed in the United States will be delivered to the island nation under the COVAX facility. Reportedly, 750,000 Moderna shots will be administered as the first dose, and the remaining 750,000 will be rolled out as a second dose following a 1-month period. Meanwhile, the government of Japan has decided today to provide approximately 1.45 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine manufactured in Japan to Sri Lanka through the COVAX facility to help prevent the spread of COVID-19 in Sri Lanka, the Embassy of Japan said in a statement. The vaccines are expected to arrive in Sri Lanka from Japan during the coming weeks. This decision has been taken in response to the request by the government of Sri Lanka and as part of Japan's support for ensuring equitable access to safe and effective vaccines for as many people as possible in the fight against COVID-19. The Ministry of Health says 882 more persons were tested positive for the novel coronavirus today. This brings the total number of COVID-19 cases confirmed in the country thus far to 276,988. According to official data, more than 25,000 virus-infected people are currently being treated at designated hospitals and treatment centres. The recoveries count climbed to 247,569 today, with 1,328 more patients who were under medical care for the virus returned to health. Meanwhile, the death toll from the pandemic outbreak in Sri Lanka reached 3,574, as the Director General of Health Services confirmed 41 new fatalities today. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
People's Bank, celebrating 60 years of empowering the nation.
We continue with local news. Allocating funds to pay compensation in the first round for fishermen affected by the fire at the Express Pearl ship will take place tomorrow at the Ministry of Fisheries. Fishermen affected in the Gampaha, Colombo and Kaluthara areas will be paid compensation. The central bank has so far received 720 million rupees in compensation for the damage caused by the fire on the Express Pearl, and 420 million rupees has been allocated for fishermen on the instructions of the President. Minister of Agriculture Mahindananda Alutgamage says the government is ready to provide technology, land, knowledge and concessionary loans to produce the national requirement of organic fertilizer with the support of island-wide local government institutions. The Minister of Agriculture and the Ministry of Local Government jointly conducted a national program on Monday in Colombo to make all heads of local government aware of the program required for the production of organic fertilizer. The minister said that the production of organic fertilizer has already commenced in a number of local government bodies, and the government is ready to provide all facilities, technology, land and concessionary loans to resolve the problem. The ministry stressed the government needs to support of local government bodies to make the change to organic fertilizer a success. Minister of Mass Media and Information, Kehelia Rambukwela, says that 20 television channels dedicated to education are planned to be launched. Under the plan, 13 channels from grade 1 to 13 and 2 separate channels for Piriwena education will be started. The minister said this while participating in the Samurdhi Scholarship Awards ceremony held in Kundasale recently. The minister also stated that it is a responsibility of the government to ensure that the education of children in the country is not compromised. Next, we look at the main news story.
Towards a new dimension in innovation, People's Bank, celebrating 60 years of empowering the nation.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Ministry of Health has launched an expeditious project to provide essential medical equipment to island-wide hospitals under the COVID control and suppression program. Pavitra Vaniyarachi, Minister of Health, today handed over 50 million rupees worth of essential medical equipment to 8 hospitals in the Ratnapura district, which are at risk of contracting COVID. The medical equipment was handed over to the Kolana Base Hospital, Ahaliagoda Base Hospital, Kalawana Base Hospital, Kahabatta Base Hospital, Potopitia Regional Hospital, Marathana Regional Hospital, Godakavela Regional Hospital and Rakwana Base Hospital in the Ratnapura district. In addition to these physical resources, the Ministry of Health has also initiated a program to provide human resources, including doctors and nurses, to these hospitals. That was the main news story. Watchlight follows.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
A look at Watchlight. Minister Professor G.L. Piri said the Education Ministry is hoping to complete administering the COVID vaccination to all teachers in the country within the next 10 days. Addressing the media today, he said teachers who have been given the first dose of the Sinopharm vaccine will get the second dose within 4 weeks. He said the government is in possession of the required vaccine to continue with the plan. That came to you in Watchlight. Next we take a look at the world news. The headlines. Protests mount as COVID ward blaze in Iraq kills more than 60. South Africa Zuma riots, death toll mounts amid looting. Iran unveils state-approved dating app to promote marriage. More than 60 people have died and a fire in a coronavirus isolation ward at a hospital in the Iraqi capital of Nasiriyah. Much of Iraq's health care system is in poor condition after years of conflict, and angry relatives of the victims have been protesting outside the facility. The cause of the fire at the Al Hussein Hospital is unclear, but reports said it had begun after an oxygen tank exploded. Iraqi MP Mustafa al-Kadhimi ordered the arrest of the head of the hospital. At least 30 people have now died in the violence which had been engulfing parts of South Africa since the country's former president, Jacob Zuma, handed himself to the police last week. Almost 800 people have been arrested in the unrest, which began as protests following Zuma's jailing on Thursday. But protests turned into violence over the weekend, with fires set, highways blocked, and businesses looted. The military has now been deployed to help the overstretched police. Iran has unveiled a dating app that aims to facilitate lasting marriages in the Islamic Republic, where the divorce rate is rising and birth rate falling. Hamdan, meaning companion in Persian, was developed by a body that's part of the Islamic Propaganda Organization. It claims to use artificial intelligence to find matches only for bachelors seeking permanent marriages and just one wife. Dating apps are popular in Iran, but from now on only Hamdan will be legal. To end this bulletin of world news, we'll take a look at the headlines again. Protests mount as COVID ward blaze in Iraq kills more than 60. South Africa. Zuma riots, death toll mounts amid looting. Iran unveils state-approved dating app to promote marriage. That ends this bulletin of world news. Development news is up next.
Development news is brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melva RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melva RB500, number 1 in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
Development news. State Minister Nimal Lanza says that as a quick solution to the traffic congestion in the Kochikade city limits, it has been decided to widen 1 kilometre from the Kochikade bridge towards Colombo to 4 lanes. The city boundary is 3.5 kilometres in length and is planned to be developed with 4 lanes. Under the first phase, a 1 kilometre stretch of heavily congested road will be widened to 4 lanes. State Minister Lanza said it is also planned to upgrade the road network from Dandagama to Puttalam. Accordingly, the development on a stretch of road covering a distance of 100 kilometres will commence within the next 3 months with Asian Development Bank assistance. That was development news. Next, we take a look at sports news.
Development news was brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melva RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melva RB500, number 1 in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
Sports news. West Indies women captain Stephanie Taylor has reclaimed the number 1 spot among batters as well as all-rounders in ODI cricket following her dominant performance against Pakistan. Taylor's 766 rating points displaced India's Mithali Raj 762 from the top among batters. The last time Taylor had topped the batting ranking was in November 2014. In addition to gaining 2 places to be the number 1 ranked all-rounder, 2 replacing Australia's Elise Perry, Taylor also moved up from 19th spot to the 16th spot among bowlers. That was a look at sports news. Next is business news.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Browns Invested Limited, BIL, a unit of Sri Lanka's LOLC group, said it struck a deal to acquire a 100-roomed hotel in Mauritius for $3.7 million along with its debt. BIL said it valued the 100-roomed hotel owned by the Mauritius-registered firm called PL Resorts Limited at $12 million, but paid $3.7 million after deducting the debt. It is managed by US-based Radisson Leisure Group under its Radisson Blue brand. That was business news. Economic news follows.
Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
On to economic news. Sri Lanka has seen some recovery in state revenues in the first 4 months of 2021 as the economy operated with minimal coronavirus controls, but spending has rapidly accelerated compared to 2019 before a fiscal stimulus, official fiscal data shows. Sri Lanka collected 116.2 billion rupees of tax and non-tax revenues in January 2021, down 22% before a fiscal stimulus in December 2019, where taxes were slashed without parliamentary approval, data shows. In 2020, 138.6 billion in revenue was collected. February revenues at 127.2 billion rupees were down 17% from 2019 level of 149.9 billion in 2019 and 179.1 billion in 2020. That was economic news.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
Finally, we take a look at the weather report. The Met Department says a few showers will occur in the Sabaragamuwa and Western provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Matara districts. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere. Fairly strong winds up to 50 kilometers per hour are likely at times over the western slopes of the Central Hills and the western and southern provinces. That was the weather report.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
To end tonight's news broadcast, we take a look at the headlines again. Sri Lanka will receive 1.5 million Moderna vaccines on Friday, while Japan has decided today to provide 1.45 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine in the coming weeks. 882 new COVID cases were confirmed and 41 new fatalities reported today. Paying compensation to fishermen affected by the fire at the Express Pearl ship will begin tomorrow. Local government bodies are ready to fulfill the national requirement of organic fertilizer. The Health Ministry has launched a project to provide essential medical equipment to hospitals island-wide. In foreign news, protests mount as COVID ward blaze in Iraq kills more than 60. And in sports news, West Indies women captain Stephanie Taylor has reclaimed the number 1 spot in ODI cricket. That ends tonight's news broadcast.